Hello and welcome, one and all, to the Battle Network Ultimate Entity Tournament. I am your host, T-Chomp of the T-Chomp team, and together we will be going bracket by bracket to determine which Navi will rule over the cyberscape. Before we begin, I would like to explain the rules for encounters in this tournament. As you can see, the bracket already has a list of randomly generated opponents that are both Navis, final bosses, and viruses. When an entity defeats another, they gain the respective chip of the other and adds it to their own chip library with no limits before proceeding in the bracket. They will not gain all of the acquired chips of the other, simply their represented battle chip, and viruses will always lose to Navis minus the final bosses of their respective video games. Navis who have the capacity to do more with their defeated opponent may do so once their battle is over. For example, Base's get program can be used once his opponent has been defeated. All battles in this tournament are solely discussion. We highly recommend the viewers of this tournament come to their own decisions and comment your own winners down in the comments below. For each battle, we will randomly roll a field by which the Navis will conduct battle. The capacities of the Navi will reference both the video games, the manga, and the anime in some instances. It should be noted that Navis like Base and Mega Man will not possess all their capabilities from these three mediums, but will only possess a limited value of them. Please keep in mind that there will be spoilers, but otherwise, I hope you all enjoy. Let's check in, execute. Without further ado, alright, so it begins. So the first thing we are going to look at is a very easy match to decide. So it's just a Stormbox virus versus the Haunted Candle 3 virus. Now the Stormbox doesn't have any actual method of attacking, so unfortunately the Haunted Candle will be the victor in this bout. So Haunted Candle 3 will win this match and go up to the next match. We will be doing bracket A for this tournament, and just to allow everyone to view the rest of the brackets, there are 220 participants. Absolutely amazing. At the end of this, there will be a top cut, and there will be a video posted to allow discussion on that. Now up next, we have Bubbleman, who is our first Navi. Bubbleman is a very well-known and respected Navi from Battle Network 3. Often relies on spawning viruses and bubbles to attack their opponent, and when they're low health, they can use the bubble wrap chip and use a very fast harpoon gun that doesn't stun, which is terrifying in and of itself. But unfortunately, because the Gaia 3 has no real method of defeating such a rush, then they will be defeated with ease. Bubble Band will be acquiring the Gaia 3 chip, which we will keep in mind as Dive Man, a Navi from BN6, which more people would be familiar with, defeats the Zymone X virus. This is a very powerful battle chip from Battle Network 5, and it allows one to attack multiple times. It's a very powerful sword chip. Dive Man usually likes to barrage his opponent with missiles and will hide under panels. So it is very easy to determine the winner here. Unfortunately, the Zymone stands no chance, and Dive Man will take that chip and go straight up. Now next up is a very interesting matchup. We have the Flowshell 3, which is a Battle Network 6 virus. Most people will remember this as the Armadillo virus, for those who have not played the actual game. And the Octovian, The Octovian is a very powerful virus from Battle Network 2, and it is probably one of the most rememberable is not a word, from this game. Basically, how this virus works is it will deploy a ball, and this ball will absorb damage until it reaches the end of the arena, where it then pops and deals that much damage. However, if it's hit with a elemental weakness, the bubble will pop. It's very easy because the flow shell will hit the shield and just accumulate damage. Octovians also have a large amount of HP, ranging from 200 to 300. So it's just very easy to determine the victor here. No need to really think about it too much. Our first right bracket winner. Next up, we got the Volcano Omega versus the Earth Jelly. This is very interesting because these are both Battle Network 3 viruses. And it is a very, very unfortunate matchup because, as you notice for these battles, we will not be rolling field for viruses since these are quick and easy matches, and there are a lot of matches to go through. But it will be interesting to see what matches we do roll for these up here. But this match is unfortunate because the largest, or I should say the strongest form of the jelly virus is the Earth Jelly, which is wood attribute, and it will take increased damage from the Volcano Omega. Not also taking into account the fact that the Earth Jelly does not move during battle, so it will fall straight into the fire from the Volcano Omega virus, and we will move Volcano Omega up in the bracket. Next up, we have Aquaman versus Big Snake. Big Snake is a Battle Network 1 virus, and it's a very interesting virus. It is probably the only snake battle chip, or it's probably the only battle chip to summon an enemy inside of the opponent's area. Of course, Aquaman has many tools at his disposal. He is known better by players as Spoutman in Battle Network 6. Spoutman can summon pipes to shoot water, and can even throw a grenade that hits most panels with a foam that does a large amount of aqua damage. On top of his Spout Buster, as well as his Spout Dance, he will have no trouble quickly disposing of this virus, and Aquaman will proceed with this battle chip. Up next, we have a very interesting matchup. We have our first Battle Network 4 virus in here, our first unique Battle Network 4 virus, I guess I should say, the Mako EX. And if this wasn't a Navi, I would say with all my heart that the Mako would win. These viruses are well renowned for having to take multiple hits or a lot of damage in order to lose their coat and then be properly damaged, on top of their high HP bars, and constantly rushing and regenerating. But this is Tomahawk Man, a very, very powerful Navi, very well known for their status guard, as well as their super armor. So not only do they not flinch, but they also cannot be paralyzed, which is very interesting. Tomahawk Man can also go into the arena with a statue that has a variety of effects that happen just randomly, of course. He can do a rolling attack that destroys panels, and can even use a ground smash and throw his tomahawk like a boomerang. So very, very powerful Navi. Very, very likely to win, even regarding this. So Tomahawk Man will continue in the bracket. And finally, after so long, we will be looking at our first proper matchup, and this is Desert Man versus Cash. For those who don't know who Cash is from the Battle Network Phantom of the Network series, or from 4.5? I'm not quite sure, but Cash's abilities are very limited. It's a very interesting Navi. And we will go straight into this. We will be moving straight into this. After randomizing this, we will be giving it a spin and seeing where these navies try to take each other down. Alright. Oh, well, that was lovely. Alright, so it is the Arctic area, and the Arctic area is very interesting for both navies, as this is ice, meaning that both navies are going to be sliding a bunch. The only problem with this is that Desert Man will convert the area underneath him to sand upon his entry. It's just an unfortunate part of fighting the Navi, but we are going to be looking at this very interestingly because Cash has a habit of summoning navies like Airman, Fireman, just to deliver attacks of a variety of elements. But Desert Man also has a habit of summoning different hands on the battlefield in order to deal damage to his opponent. What Desert Man likes to do is he will erect statues that he hides behind in order to make the opponent fight these hands that he spawns constantly from the sand panels. So while Cash has to deal with these ice panels, Desert Man will have to constantly harass him with these attacks. This would be a very easy match to decide, since Cash does not have any barriers to protect himself, and as Desert Man gets weaker and weaker, he will spawn sand pits underneath his opponents. He will spawn rocks above them if Cash does hide behind a barrier. But Cash will actually go into a second form, which will fire lasers at his opponent. And what's interesting here is that we are going to be looking at another mechanic of Desert Man, which many people in Battle Network 3 will know, is he will disappear upon taking the first hit. So even though he takes a high damage attack like the laser from Cash in his second form, he will not be taken down just yet. Desert Man is a very scary Navi. He can defeat many Navis at once, and it really goes to show that without many of the tools in Battle Network 3, Big will have had a very difficult time of dealing with him. Desert Man has been known to put many navies into the Antlion trap, and I think Cash does fall under that list of navies. I think there's very little Cash can do against Desert Man, especially when he has the capability of creating the sand area. It's just very unfortunate. Desert Man will proceed with the Cash battle chip and go on to fight Tomahawk Man, which will be a very interesting matchup when we get to it. Next, we have the Zero Virus versus Bomb Man. And for those who don't know, this is another Phantom of the Network reference, or that line of games. This is also known as Zero.exe versus Bomb Man. And we are going, and although I have a fair idea who's going to win this, we will go to the wheel, and we will give this another spin to see what happens. Power plant. Alright, so the power plant consists highly of metal panels, and for those who don't know what metal panels are, because these were, I don't remember, but they were mostly exclusive to Battle Network 3. Basically how metal panels worked is that while you couldn't destroy them via normal means, you could change them with panel changing types. So for example, Desert Man would have been able to change these panels. But let's talk about a lot of these capabilities here. Zero.exe has a lot of capabilities, much like its name. They have a lot of the same capacities as Zero from the Mega Man X series. They have multiple sword attacks. they can do a uppercut with their sword and then launch that into a downward spin attack. They also have a new feature, which is new in Phantom of the Network, where he will throw up a barrier and then go to counter his opponent. So that's actually huge because there's a couple of features of Bomb Man that make him just a weak Navi in general. So a big feature of Bomb Man is that he will throw bombs and he will set mines in the opponent's area. But one of the things about the Zero Virus is that they will go and seek the opponent out and constantly deal sword attacks. So not only do they have the chance of just easily deflecting these bombs, but they can move forward and just dispatch Bomb Man, who isn't really a fast Navi. He isn't that bulky, but the Zero.exe isn't that bulky. They are faster and can easily dodge Bomb Man, and it's just not that hard. Zero will be taking that win and proceeding in the bracket with the Bomb Man chip. And next up, we have a very interesting matchup. We have the Ella Ball Omega versus the Big Krager. I'm not quite sure what the name was supposed to be pronounced as here, but this is very interesting. Another Battle Network 6 virus versus a Battle Network 3 virus. And for those who don't understand how the Big Krager works, is they will try to basically hit the opponent if they get up close, and they will also take half damage from attacks. How the Ella Ball Omega works is it will actually run around the field bouncing off walls and hitting the opponent once it gets in their area several times. This was a very well-known chip for cheesing a lot of bosses in Battle Network 3, and the Krager doesn't actually have any methodology towards defeating the Ella Ball. So the Ella Ball will just take that win and head up in the bracket. This is a more interesting matchup. We have the Molecule 3 versus the Cold Bear 3. These are both Battle Network 1 viruses with very interesting chips. The Cold Bear 3 is a very tanky virus, while the Molecule is a slightly less tanky virus, but is very good at attacking the opponent quickly. I would say that the Cold Bear would win in most instances, except for the fact that the Molecule has a speed bonus. The Molecule actually has methodology towards dodging Cold Bear's attacks. So, especially since I would like to say the Cold Bear would win due to its high HP bar, the Molecule will take that and head up in the bracket. Alright, so we just defeated the first line, and most of these viruses are out. We are not fully out of them yet, but we will continue on to the bracket and see what exactly we are going to do here. So we finally have Burner Man to deal with, and interestingly enough, he is up against a virus, and that is the Haunted Candle 3. So, Burnerman is an interesting Navi. He comes from Battle Network 4, and he uses a wide range of attacks. Much like Fireman from Battle Network 1, he will launch long-range heat attacks at you that do a lot of damage. But he has the addition of 2 blaze bits that he will use to constantly attack you from either side. These act independently of him and can attack at their own whim, usually separately. Burnerman also can rush at the opponent and has a decent HP pool for dealing with bulky Navis or for long fights. But they will take the Bird Square chip, a very interesting chip that is very fitting for the Fire Navi, but we will see whether or not they will be able to use it in the upcoming matches. Finally, we will be looking at another Navi versus Navi match. Bubble Man versus Dive Man. This is a Aqua versus Aqua matchup, which is very interesting. These Navis actually somewhat contest each other. One problem with Bubble Man is that Bubble Man heavily relies on holes to hide the function by which he creates a lot of his bubbles and viruses. So if he doesn't get a stage with a hull, it can actually end up much in Dive Man's favor, depending on the circumstances. So let's go to the wheel and see exactly how this pans out. This is an interesting stage. The Forest Sanctuary is an alternate version of the forest area that has holy panels and grass panels. So Dive Man and Bubble Man will both actually be taking reduced damage in this area. If they were fire navies, we would be seeing more results. Dive Man actually has a mines that deploy fire damage. But let's look at this rationally. Both of them are not going to be dealing much with that. Bubble Man actually likes to play from a long range, but Dive Man also constantly shoots out missiles. The biggest problem with being in the forest area is that Bubble Man actually has a lot of area to deal with, so he's not actually going to have that much trouble creating bubbles and intercepting these missiles. The only problem comes when Dive Man gets closer and he deploys his tidal wave. Dive Man can't actually get close enough to Bubble Man since Bubble Man is so light. He is fast. You could say Dive Man is hard pressed to really find a way to engage, but he does have those missiles from before. They can do the increased damage in this grass field. So Bubble Man will take increased damage from that, since Bubble Man does act from a limited range. He does run in a limited distance when he is far away. When Bubble Man runs, he can run away, but by the rules of this tournament, he cannot. So we will look at their battleships and see who can deal more decisive damage. Now, one of the things Bubble Man can do is he can use the Gaia 3 chip. And how Gaia 3 works is that he will deploy the Gaia 3 statue virus, and it will deal a delayed attack. For those that don't understand, the statue takes reduced damage and can actually intercept attacks. So while Bubble Man will usually be hiding behind a rock, for example, or a tree in this instance, he can actually deploy the Gaia 3 to intercept more attacks. On the other end of this, Dive Man is using the Katana 3 chip, but he cannot get close enough to actually be able to use this chip since it has the same maximum range as his tidal wave. Alright, so we're going to be looking at a long-winded fight here. Bubble Man is going to finally, after a long fight, put up his bubble wrap, and I feel like this is just too much for Dive Man. Dive Man doesn't have a methodology of really getting rid of bubble wrap, even with fast attacks, since Bubble Man is never going to leave that maximum distance area. Dive Man does have some attacks that can breach those defenses, but not this many defenses. So this might just be a comp loss for Dive Man here. Unfortunately, Bubble Man will be taking this win with a very long, very sturdy fight, and will continue on in this bracket. Next up, we have Element Man appearing for the first time. Element Man is a very interesting Navi. Element Man can switch between all of the elements, dealing a wide range of attacks from meteors, lightning bolts. He can shoot wind around the stage like boomerangs at his whim, regardless of his element. He can freeze columns as well as shoot a trekking spire. So he is actually going to be the one to pick up the Octavian virus, and this is actually huge because the Octavian virus gives a random ball dependent upon what element band rolls here, and on top of this, Navi just covering so many different elements. They have a decent HP base. Getting a defensive option like this that also has a large capacity for damage could actually net them the win here in this tournament. It's actually very scary. It makes me wonder how far they will get. In fact, we will have Element Man continue, and we will roll to see how this Navi does. So we will be giving this win to Element Man, and we will be securing them their chip. So we are going to random roll 1 to 3. and that will be value number 1. He will be proceeding with the Aqua Ball. Up next, we have a very fun little matchup. We have Iris versus Volcano Omega. Now, for those who don't know anything about the Battle Network 6 storyline, Iris is based off of Iris from X4, and Iris has a couple of interesting abilities. She is mostly a defensive Navi, for example, and can control electronics to some degree. It would not be too much to say that she could bend the will of certain Navis with weak minds, or viruses, for example. So Iris will be picking up the Volcano Omega. She is known for actually being able to move around quite quickly, and so the Volcano Omega won't be able to trap her in like that. So Iris will, ironically enough, be taking a win here, even though she is not that strong, and continuing in the bracket. Next up is a very interesting matchup. We have Aquaman versus Pharaoh Man. This is a interesting matchup in many ways. Spoutman is very well known for deploying objects to constantly manage their opponent, as well as dealing holes. Now, Pharaoh Man does have air shoes, so those holes will not actually be boxing them in, but Pharaoh Man also has methodology towards defenses that we will be looking at in a moment. For now, let us decide the field and see if Spoutman truly is a cheater. Oh my. This is not good. So, time to explain this location. So, the erupting volcano is a variation of the volcano field. In this field, there are not only lava panels, but both navies will constantly be taking damage, which means we will not be looking at a short game, and we will be looking to see which Navi can deal the most damage in the shortest period of time. Now, the biggest problem with this is that Pharaoh Man has float shoes. So Aquaman will be taking a lot of damage from these lava panels, while Pharaoh Man will be taking none of the damage. I thought that Aquaman might have the biggest advantage here, but it really does seem as though Pharaoh Man will be putting up a good fight. Now, before we continue, I will be explaining Pharaoh Man's abilities. Pharaoh Man has 2 coffins on his side of the field that also have float shoes. Fun, right? These coffins cannot be broken. They can summon Radons, which are the strongest versions. This is the strongest version of Pharaoh Man. They can deploy beams, or they can move to block Pharaoh Man. Now, Pharaoh Man does have another ability where he can randomly spawn Ratty as well. He can place a mine in the opponent's field, or he can summon a block in a random position to box them in. Now, it is worth it to mention that the erupting volcano is an open area, so unlike the Bubble Man time, there will be no methodology towards blocking projectiles except for both of these Navi's defensive options. Now, it is worth it to say that the Big Snake ship will actually come in handy here. Although Aquaman can barrage Pharaoh Man from the far end of the field, Pharaoh Man will also be doing the same to Spout Man. And it is difficult to say because these Navis both have a very bulky HP pool. And while normally I would be able to say that Spout Man would easily win, it is very, very, very difficult because these beams will be able to move to penetrate through the spout pipes and hit Spout Man. But Spout Man is also able to use his Spout Buster to foam up and hit Pharaoh Man from behind his own guards. So really, we just need to look at the facts, and the Snake Virus will also be taking the damage from the Snake Egg 3 chip that he spawns in the opponent's field. So we have to think about this logically. What what really happened? Wait! Spoutman is an Aqua Navi. So a lot of this fire on the opponent's side of the field is either destroyed by the Spout Buster, or it is completely knocked out by the Aqua attribute of his kit. This snake virus can survive, it can hit Pharaohman, and it will decide the damage for this match. In a very, very close matchup in which either Navi could have won, Aquaman wins due to the presence of both his element and the chip he hath acquired. Spoutman will continue. Up next is another interesting match. We have Tomahawk Man versus Desert Man. Desert Man is a very, very powerful chip. Well, it's a very powerful chip, but it is also a very powerful Navi. As we previously aforementioned, Tomahawk Man also has a very, very large kit. We will be bringing up the number generator here once more to be able to decide what the Tomahawk Man will be doing. And just to be sure, let us bring up TomahawkMan.exe's kit, and we will be numbering these abilities as they are on the wiki. So, number 1 will be that they will drop meteors on the opponent's area. 2 will make Tomahawk Man invincible. Yes, this is green invincibility, which means that no attacks can hit Tomahawk Man while the totem is facing forward. Totem recovery heals Tomahawk Man very much so like Flame Man's candles do if they're glowing red. So as we keep that in mind, let us go towards the picker wheel. Now, as we saw before, the erupting volcano created a very nasty area for both Spoutman and Pharaohman in the previous match, so let us see exactly who is on the latter end of this field and give it a spin. The power plant again! So this is very important because not only does Spoutman not have the capacity to break these metal panels with his Spout Buster, but it also means that Tomahawk Man's tower is mostly safe from these attacks. Now, it is worth it to mention that Tomahawk Man does have to actually protect his tower in order to have its effects go into function, and its effects will go into function at the start of the match. So we will actually roll for that. And it's a 2! Now, we are acting under the knowledge that Navis know each other's capacities, so Spoutman will know that Tomahawk Man... Spoutman. Why do I keep saying Spoutman? Desert Man will know that Tomahawk Man is indisposable for this period. Another thing to note is that because of Desert Man's capabilities, he changes these metal panels into sand panels, and these sand panels actually are rather difficult because they can block ground waves. Now, ground waves do include Tomahawk Man's smash attack, which would normally destroy the entire column. But not only are these metal panels, but these are sand panels which dissuade the impact. So Tomahawk Man won't be able to get past that defense for the period in time. Now, Desert Man does have these hands that constantly deal attacks, but he can use the cash battle chip to deploy a cash for a short period, and the beam attack will knock out the totem Sama, thus disabling it for a moment. One thing to note is that Tomahawk Man does have his tomahawks, which he can throw as a boomerang, so he will actually be able to get behind these towers that Desert Man erects on the field and deal damage to him. This is actually huge because Tomahawk Man can now deal damage in ways that Cash wasn't really able to in the previous match. Tomahawk Man also has the Moko Rush, which means that he can rush these hands with these Moko viruses and destroy them essentially. Tomahawk Man does have the answers for all of these options, but let us see what the effect of the totem does to see if this really does secure a win in Tomahawk Man's arsenal. 3. Oh no. So on top of the sand traps the Tomahawk Man is dealing with, he is now healing on top of this. This is far too aggressive for Desert Man, and the fact that Tomahawk Man doesn't flinch means that he's constantly attacking Desert Man through these different attacks. Furthermore, Tomahawk Man's high power base means that he can easily dispose of these high power statues that he's erecting to guard himself with. This is going to be an easy match. Tomahawk Man disposes of Desert Man and continues on in the bracket. Let's go. Well, that was fun. It was actually very entertaining. Now, let us go to the Zero Virus. Now, the Zero Virus already disposed of Bomb Man, and the Magbolt 3 is actually really scary. Before we move on to the next match, I'm going to talk a little bit about Magbolt 3. Magbolt 3 is a virus that was, if I remember correctly, exclusive to Battle Network 4. Battle Network 4 has the Magbolt 3 chip, which, in case people don't know, it pulls the enemy towards it and stuns them. So not only does Zero have a way to confirm enemies who are far away, but he can also stun them and follow up with sword attacks. This is actually huge and can actually create a bit of a disposition for opponents that rely on long-range play later in the match. So the Monocle 3 versus the Elabol Omega. So the interesting thing about this matchup is that the Monocle 3 does rely on the Bubble Wrap, but the Elabol does deal electric damage, which instantly pops and destroys Bubble Wrap. So while it would be entertaining if the Zero.exe got the Bubble Wrap chip, the Plasma 3 chip user will actually continue on in this bracket. It is worth it to say that viruses can actually use chips in this, and Ice Cube does not help much in terms of this battle. Alright, so bracket A is coming off to an interesting start. We finally have most of these navies up here in the bracket. And the first match is actually very scary. We have Burner Man versus Bubble Man. A Battle Network 4 versus 3 matchup. Some people say these are the funnest games in the entire series and have some of the greatest story. So this is going to be a very interesting match. It's Fire versus Aqua, so you already know that Bubble Man is going to be doing increased damage to Burner Man here with all of his attacks, since Bubble Man does not have any variation in his attack patterns. But let us look at what's going to happen and decide for ourselves. Let us spin the wheel. Oh no. So this is Merkland. Merkland is very interesting. There actually is no abilities that activate here. This is null panels only. Now, if there were Dark Navies, we might see a variety in different effects, but for now we will not be seeing any effects based on the current matchup, unfortunately. So this is a null field. This is a straight up arena. There is no reason to worry about anything here, and we should just go ahead with the match. Now, the first thing we should note is Burner Man's capabilities. We already discussed that these funnel bits will be acting independently, which means Bubble Man no longer has the luxury of a Navi that can't keep up with his speed. On top of this, the Burner Square chip can attack from a huge range and instantly barrage the opponent. Now, we should look at Bubble Man's kit and know that his bubbles constantly deal damage, but Burner Man's bits constantly fly through them and constantly attack his opponent. Bubble Man's bubbles, though, have traps inside of them, and Bubble Man's traps can fling darts as well as crab viruses at Burner Man. It is worth it to say that Burderman can also rush down Bubble Man with his Heat Rush. This Heat Rush attack does make him invincible for the attack, so any attempts to place the Gaia 3 chip down for defense are met with a null and void impact. I would say that this is in the favor of Burderman, but you have to keep in mind that Burderman is taking increased damage from Bubble Man. Bubble Man actually has a lower HP pool than Burderman, but this is not going to be the case when Bubble Man deploys the Dive Man chip. Unlike Bubble Man, Burderman likes to get in close and deal attacks, but Bubble Man is going to deal a huge amount of damage with the Dive Man SP chip. And I feel it is unfortunate for Burderman, but we have to take into account that Bubble Man is an Aqua Navi, and even if Burderman gets him low, Bubble Man deploys the Bubble Wrap of all things, meaning he takes hits for free, and these harpoons deal so much Aqua damage. This is one of the most famed comboing chips in BN3. There is a reason why Bubble Man is sought after and why you run this V4 chip. Bubble Man will take this win and take Burderman out of the tournament. Now, Element Man and Iris. This is a very, very interesting matchup. Now, if you would hold on a second. Alright, so that's going to be ready. It is worth it to say that Iris has done well to make it so far. They fought a single virus. And that's really it. Oh, although I guess I shouldn't put it in too much hands already. Let us spin the wheel and see if Iris does stand a chance. She does boast some defensive potential and has the Volcano 3 chip, so she is not entirely helpless. Wow. I'm sorry, Iris. On top of Element Man being a very sturdy Navi, while Iris is not a sturdy Navi, Element Man can actually change himself to fire, meaning that Element Man does not take any damage whatsoever from the lava panels. And even though Iris has the Volcano Omega chip, unfortunately, Element Man does have the Aqua Ball on top of this. This is a merciless crush. This is destroyed. Iris would normally have influence over the opponent. In fact, if this was Bubble Man, she might have been able to influence and have some control over him due to his weak will. But Element Man is robotic in nature and will continue on in this bracket. Now, for those of you that are wondering why Iris is in this tournament to begin with, she is well known for many things, and one of those things is to gift special powers, and these special powers are well known in the Mega Man universe. That's right, we are talking about Giga Chips. That's right, the person who defeats Iris will instead be gifted a Giga Chip. For those that understand, final bosses in the Battle Network series, as well as others, normally give Gigas of some sort. Now, it is no mistake to say this is not necessarily a good thing. But we will not be gifting things like base, we will not be gifting kernel force, we will not be gifting hub batch. These would be too strong, but we will be instead giving the Bug Rise Sword and the Bug Death Thunder. These chips are huge, and for anyone who understands their potential can be huge in overturning this match. We are going to be giving another roll, and we are going to see exactly what Element has secured for himself from this match. And we have the one. That will be Element Man securing the Bug Riser's sword into his arsenal. This is huge. This is absolutely amazing. Element Man has the Bug Rise sword, although we will not be saying that in the Bubble Man match, unfortunately. We will be continuing on to Spout Man versus Tomahawk Man. Now, amazingly enough, Spout Man and Tomahawk Man dispatched some of the most powerful navies in the Battle Network universe. Desert Man has defeated countless navies, and Pharaoh Man has defeated many more. But these are both well-loved navies in the Battle Network franchise, and we want to really give them justice. We will be looking and seeing, with all the love in our hearts, what location we end up with here today. Let us give this wheel a spin. We've confirmed, at last, he is not here, but he speaks in our hearts. He is a cheater of sorts. Let us look at the Arctic area. Now, it is worth it to mention that Aqua navies do not, in fact, glide over ice panels. So Tomahawk Man will have trouble landing some of these Tomahawk shots on Spout Man, or otherwise known as the Aquaman. That being said, we will be rolling for Tomahawk Man's totem, which he must protect in this area. And it is the 3. Now, this is actually huge, because not only does Tomahawk Man not only have to protect this, but he has to restore HP, but he hasn't taken any damage yet, so it's not giving any value. Now, it is worth it to mention that Spout Man is the faster of these two navies, but Tomahawk Man does have that super armor and that status guard. Now, normally when you're dealt aqua damage on an ice panel, it would freeze, but Tomahawk Man has the status guard. He cannot be frozen. This man cannot be stopped. But on top of this, we have the Desert Man deploy chip. For those that don't understand, Tomahawk Man, Desert Man Navi chip deploys sand hands, and these hands will turn these ice panels into sand panels. So now Spout Man's speed is working against him. The baby is struggling. He must get out. But on top of this, Spout Man can make up for the sand panels by summoning these spout pipes, and they will be constantly attacking Tomahawk Man for trying to move out of the way, while Spout Man dispatches with the totem. The totem will take the hit, and its face will turn, and it will not be bothering Spout Man for a little bit. It is worth it to mention that Pharaoh Man is deployed from the Spout Man, so on top of these two spout pipes that Tomahawk Man has to deal with, he can't destroy them. The Pharaoh sarcophagus is now deploying a laser and hitting Tomahawk Man right in the face. Now, it is worth it to mention that he does have the Moko Rush, but unfortunately, with all these defensive options, Spout Man is not going to get hit by the Moko viruses that run into these spout pipes. It can't be stopped. Even with these sand panels that Spout Man keeps getting stopped on, there's no real way for Tomahawk Man to deal with the ice panels on his side of the stage here. There's no real way. And on top of this, we have the Snake Egg. The Snake Egg is going to attack Tomahawk Man and deal a nice amount of damage. It's about time, so we will give Totem another chance. Let's see if he can make a comeback and deal the right amount of damage to Spout Man. And that is another 3. So this is very interesting, because now Tomahawk Man is getting a critical amount of HP back. These sand panels will actually be working against him, but Tomahawk Man can actually destroy the last line of ice panels, it providing an opportunity to box Spout Man in. But with these spout pipes, there's no way to really get at Aquaman. Even if he's boomeranging around them, it's dealing so much damage. Spout Man is throwing spout grenades, and these are dealing a huge amount of damage. Tomahawkman has no way to secure a huge amount of damage. Even with this regen, Spoutman is relentless. And I think that with all of it in our hearts, Spoutman will win. There's just no way for Tomahawkman to dissuade this level of damage. Spoutman is too fast. Spoutman will succeed. So we talked a little bit about this before, but oddly enough, we have a virus making it all the way to the third bracket. This was bound to happen because there are just so many viruses in this tournament. But we are going to be looking at the Zero virus versus the L ball. It is very important to realize that the Plasma 3 places the object of the Plasma virus that attacks from a very close range all around. This is another weapon in his kit that we will be seeing use in the later matches. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. We are on the semifinals of Bracket A, and already we have Bubble Man versus Element Man and Aquaman versus the Zero virus. We have no idea what is going to happen here. We have no idea what is going to change, and we have no idea what is going to change the outlook of this tournament. So we are going to go straight into Bubble Man versus Element Man. We already have a great idea of what both of these devices do, and we are going to continue. The desert. Oh no. It is worth it to mention that while Bubbleman is a very squishy Navi, Bubbleman will be having trouble with these sand panels because he's not as light as Bubbleman. Bubbleman will be able to glide over these sand panels with very little trouble whatsoever. What's even worse is that well, let us see later. So the first thing we're going to look at is the fact that Element Man will be using not fire, well, not lightning, like we would assume him to use, because this requires that Bubble Man be boxed in. We will instead be seeing the ice, and the reason for this is because Bubble Man will always reach a maintained distance from the opponent. They will always be as far away as possible while still being able to deploy these bubbles, right? So Element Man is not as concerned with these bubbles, and instead works on freezing Bubble Man in place before deploying the lightning and the Aqua Ball of all things. The Aqua Ball is huge. Not only are all of these bubble attacks consumed by the Aqua Ball, but this adds on to the Aqua Ball's damage. So as soon as this ball reaches the other side of the arena towards Bubble Man, pops and deals all of that damage. We don't even see the Giga, we don't even see the Bug Rise Sword. The bubble wrap is popped by the electricity, and Element Man will just secure this win and move on to the finals. Many of you may have wondered, what about the Burner Man? What about the Gaia 3? All of these defensive and offensive options are consumed by the Aqua Ball. As soon as it hits the Gaia 3, the Aqua Ball will trigger into lightning strikes from overhead. There is no defense for Bubble Man. There is no stopping it. Now we move on to Spoutman versus Zero.exe, and this is actually very scary. While Spoutman has been defeating many an opponent and earning his spot in the bracket, Zero has been earning instead virus chips, and virus chips are actually huge and can present a huge problem, especially considering Baby has collected no chips that counter Zero virus. Zero virus is actually null element, so they will not be taking increased damage. But on the other side of that, Zero.exe has collected not one but 2 electric chips that will make this very hard. But let us see how the field goes. There might be a place of respite in this field location. Let us go. There's no hope. It is worth it to mention that Spoutman can erect these spout pipes on either side to sort of box in the view, but this doesn't prevent the Magbolt 3, and this is the biggest problem. Not only does Zero Virus use the Magbolt 3 to convert the Spoutman into the huge amount of electrical damage, but they can place down the Plasma 3 while they're comboing between their sword. There is no methodology towards Spoutman being able to get away from this, and they will take so much damage, and with the desert panels, there's no real way to move anywhere. This has just been a huge turnover. Even with the Tomahawk Man and the Feral Man chip, there is no way for Spoutman to deal enough damage to the 0.exe. 0.exe will confirm and move up on the bracket. Finally, after so long, we have the finals for bracket A, and oh my gosh, this has been crazy. I honestly thought Spoutman was going to win. I actually didn't think he would defeat Tomahawk Man, but looking at all the options, it was just too good. Element Man has also been doing really well, even though they have not defeated many navies. They have accumulated a great arsenal, much like Zero, and it will be worth it to see exactly what happens here. Now, let us continue and see where these two end up. Welcome to the other stage with Holy Panels, the Oasis stage. Now, this is a very interesting stage because not only are there grass panels, not only is there a Holy Panel, but there is C panels. And for those that understand C panels, you will know that this is not going to be a good time. On C panels, not only is the Navi's movement disrupted, but they also take increased damage from electricity. So not only will Zero Virus be taking more damage, but Element Man will also be taking the increased damage. Now it is worth it to mention that Element Man will deploy the Bug Rise Sword at the beginning of this match. It is well known to all navies what their opponents use, so they will be using this as a methodology towards being able to combat this close range. Now, it is no surprise that the Zero Virus will rush their opponent, but Element Man will take note of the Holy Panel, and with robotic precision, they will secure their spot on it, and they will stay knowing this is the best option, this is the best methodology. The only problem with this is that Zero Virus will place the Plasma 3. They will use the Magbolt 3, but this is not enough. This is a Holy Panel. For those that don't understand, Holy Panels reduce all damage by half. The Oasis will only have one Holy Panel. Element Man is bulky. He will not move. And he will deploy not only the Bubble Man chip to combo, but he will deploy the Aqua Ball. When Zero Virus has used all of these chips, only once he's used all of these chips, he will use ice. He will use, not ice, he will use lightning to force Zero Virus away because he will just not want to take damage from these, and he will deploy the Aqua Ball. Only after these panels have been completely destroyed by lightning does he deploy the Aqua Ball. In the Zero Virus, of course, they won't attack them. He will actually deploy the barrier, but this will just do increased damage when he counter hits the Aqua Ball. This Aqua Ball is insane, and all this time, this 2x3 Bug Rise Sword will be hitting the Zero Virus. He doesn't have any ranged attacks. He doesn't have anything to really deal with this, but at the back, he could use the Aquaman chip, except for the fact that the Aqua Ball is still there. It would intercept the baby Navi chip, and Unfortunately, after so long, the Aqua Ball will pop, and Element Man will secure his victory against this Navi, and Element Man will find himself moving up in the bracket. It will be interesting. Element Man has secured a lot of chips, but it is just so good. This Navi is known for calculating. This Navi is known for setting up elaborate puzzles. With the Bug Rise Sword, they will cover their physical weaknesses. With the Bubble Man chip, they will be able to combo. And from the Zero Fires, they will get the Zero Sword combo chip. A mega chip that is very well known for hitting multiple times with sword damage. So this will provide a huge amount of power for the later stages in Top Cut. Element Man is one of our 6 Navis to make it into Top Cut. This was very interesting to look at, very interesting to consider. The Oasis stage was huge. I honestly thought Zero Virus was going to take it. Element Man was not going to tank any of that. There was no way. But the Holy Panel was huge. The Savage Zero.exe was not able to stop Element Man or pull him off of that panel. It is just absolutely insane. That was a lovely first bracket. I can't wait to get into the second bracket, and the third, and the fourth. This will be a 7-part series, and I do look forward to working on all of this. I hope you all have a lovely day. I will talk to you again. Now to start editing. Oh my god.